when it comes to ecosystems ultimately have to prove their worth at the ground level, at the street level. Now, let's take an example of a merchant in Kathmandu joining a regional payment network, okay? What would change most meaningfully for them, and where have you seen that commercial impact show up consistently?
Yeah, so I think for the merchant in Kathmandu, I think the first visible impact would be, of course, the acceptance. That means that it will be able to accept tourists coming from overseas. So these tourists coming to overseas, they can also make a payment, acceptance payment at this merchant. But I think the deeper impact is also to have this data, because I mean, the greater impact is more on the economical level of impact. I think just now the various topics have also been shared about, you know, how data can also be enhanced to improve lending. Because when you know that these certain merchants, once they have various acceptance, you will know that whether if they have a lot of foreign transactions, you will know that, oh, they are actually they have better outreach to the foreigners. They can have a better credit score and stuff like that. So actually, with the transaction data that comes through for the foreign acceptance, you can actually also have the data visibility. That will also help the banks, or what we call the acquirers, to actually build, like using AI or even their own existing scoring system to actually be able to and gather loans to these merchants. So with the additional loans, the merchant might be able to grow their business better and have a better economical upside.
Hardik IVF and Fertility Center,
where miracles come to life.
Hello.
Well, here we are. Chong Wei,
Yes.
welcome once again to Kathmandu, and thank you for joining me in this conversation. And welcome to all the participants who are present here.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, thank you. I think thank you, this Setopati, for this invite to Nepal, and also I think I'm honored to be here to actually share some of the experience that we have actually built globally. So thank you.
Okay. Now, we already have had two insightful conversations. Ritesh explored how banks and fintechs collaborate to create value, while Anup beautifully unpacked the API infrastructure that makes that collaboration possible. Now, you bring something very different to the table. 15 years spent building payment ecosystems across Asia, not advising on them, but constructing them market by market, currency by currency. Now, that experience puts you at the center of attention many in this room are already navigating right now. As digital ecosystems grow more interconnected, banks risk becoming the most and least visible part of the experience. The infrastructure that everything runs on, but that no one sees. Now, our session theme asks how each of these players stays on the right side of that equation, building together, pulling apart, co-optation. So let us start with what you have witnessed on the ground. Now, UnionP sits at an unusual intersection. You work simultaneously with merchants, banks, wallets, and regulators across, what, more than 180 countries now?
Yes.
And very few organizations have that view across the entire value chain, right? So from that vantage point, I'd like to ask you, when does operating at that scale genuinely help each player, and when does it risk reducing them to a distribution channel? Where is that line between a productive partnership and quietly losing strategic control? Chong Wei?
Yes, I think that is a very important question, as I think for this cooperation, there is always this advantage and also a risk. So as our cooperation with the various partners, banks, even fintech, even merchants and all this, actually the main thing is the scale on how we can create value and amplify the value for these what we call participants. That means that when UnionPay, when they joined together with the UnionPay network, what additional values can we bring to these partners? So and that is what UnionPay is also trying to do. That means to bring global standards, global security, the way of handling various disputes, and all this the information and technology, and also to sharing it with the partners. And we also see that the risk is when the participants view themselves as just normal distribution channels. So if they just try to just be a part of it, but did not realize or implement the values that that UnionPay can or the networks can provide them. So so maybe it's just like or just doing accepting payments. But accepting payments after a while, it can be the same for every partners, right? So like acquirers, even issuers issuing cards can. But the way that how you differentiate is actually to create a unique value. So every banks or every these acquirers would needs to find their own unique value, the unique niche segment, niche customers, and this is where UnionPay can also help to advise and also work together in terms of the discussion, exploring the markets to find this balance for every partners. So yeah, so I think that the way, I think just now we have also shared that for the banks, the trust, the credit expertise, the treasury service are all their expertise, and the fintechs actually have their expertise in customer customer engagement, UI UX, and quick to navigate, like more agile, for the example of the elephant and the cheetah, right? So, but for networks like us, we actually try to bring a different set of values where we bring like interoperability, security, these standards, and also like global connections into the picture, so that locally it can be locally is one part of the business that you are growing, but also when you want to explore outwards, there is a partner that will also bring value to you. Yeah, and I think to go back to the question, I think the healthiest ecosystem is everyone not does the same thing, but also to does different things very well at their own aspect. Yeah.
So essentially, what you're saying is it's all about relevance. How each player define what they own within an ecosystem, which is greater than all of them. Right? Did I get it correct?
Yes. Correct.
Okay. So now let me push you further. Now, every player in this ecosystem that we are looking at, they have commercial pressure. Agree? So where have you seen strategic positioning and commercial return actually reinforcing each other rather than being a trade-off?
I think this strategic success, I think, is what everyone's wants to have. And I think the thing is, how do we achieve it? I think just now some of the sharing is also how do we achieve success is not doing something that is very common, but also to do higher value solving higher value problems. I would say that means that to have like let's say if you have a business needs, how you're going to create the solution or a higher value to resolve it. Just like the example of the KYC requirement, but how can you do KYC through eKYC through this phone? Because in some countries there are still requirements of you need to be at the branch to actually sign the paper before they can even
be
issue.
Physically present.
Yeah, physically present KYC. So I think this is also to for all these players to be strategically successful. They will need to also try to aim for creating value, higher value. Solving higher value with the problems. Yeah.
Okay, now that raises my next question naturally. You just also mentioned that UnionPay calls itself as networks of networks, right? Which is a very compelling proposition for institutions like those in Nepal, because it offers scale that would take decades to build independently, right? But when players connect to your system, value doesn't emerge evenly. Where does it tend to concentrate, and where do you see players creating genuine strategic value rather than simply expanding their reach?
Yeah, so I think when we said UnionPay is a network of network, what essentially we are saying is that we are engaging the local network to give them a global reach. So it means that what we want to help or achieve is that to assist the local network to have a greater reach outside of the country itself. So this is also part of our UnionPay strategic mission. That's why we actually also for some countries in Southeast Asia, we actually participate in their national switch building, providing our specifications, our chip specifications to countries like Thailand and Laos and stuff. So I think in this aspect, this is what UnionPay wants to provide to the local network. So I think the recent cooperation with announced with PhonePe. Nepal PhonePe.
Oh, the one with the F.
The one with the F. But I hope we will also cooperate with PhonePe soon. And I think this is the first step is of course just targeting the inbound acquiring, like just connecting. But what we are also trying to work further is also on the other pieces to expand to the users going overseas, or even like sharing our platforms. Because for UnionPay we also built global platforms for rewards, cash rebates, and stuff like that. So actually all this can also be shared into the network, so that the network itself can ride on all these existing builds to actually cater for their members. I would say the local members. Yeah.
So you beautifully captured the institutional side of the relationship, but when it comes to ecosystems ultimately have to prove their worth at the ground level, at the street level. Now, let's take an example of a merchant in Kathmandu joining a regional payment network, okay? What would change most meaningfully for them, and where have you seen that commercial impact show up consistently? Yeah,
so I think for the merchant in Kathmandu, I think the first visible impact would be, of course, the acceptance. That means that it will be able to accept tourists coming from overseas. So these tourists coming to overseas, they can also make a payment, acceptance payment at this merchant. But I think the deeper impact is also to have this data, because I mean, the greater impact is more on the economical level of impact. I think just now the various topics have also been shared about, you know, how data can also be enhanced to improve lending. Because when you know that these certain merchants, once they have various acceptance, you will know that whether if they have a lot of foreign transactions, you will know that, oh, they are actually they have better outreach to the foreigners. They can have better credit score and stuff like that. So actually, with the transaction data that comes through for the foreign acceptance, you can actually also have the data visibility. That will also helps the banks, or what we call the acquirers, to actually build, like using AI or even their own existing system, existing scoring system, to actually be able to and gather loans to these merchants. So with the additional loans, the merchant might be able to grow their business better and have a better economical upside.
Now, you talked about primarily from the acceptance side for people down at the street. How about the other way around? Is there any example where the payments aspect is also successfully running in your network? Any examples to share as such?
I think for the payments wise is also I mean, from the other side, also the issuers or the banks or the wallets will also have access to the data. Like so, I think in this new age, data is one of the most important resources. Later on, feed into AI to understand that these users, where they spend, how they spend. Then you also can target your marketing details and stuff like that to actually so you can so-called upsell the various products. So you know that to this user, so you know that, let's say they always travels to this user always travels to Nepal. So maybe you can also push them for other the Nepal tours, or buying the goods at certain discounts and stuff like that. Yeah. So this will also benefits the issuers, the banks issuers from that angle.
Now, in our earlier sessions, Anup and Ritesh have been continuously highlighting a third force which is shaping the system, which is artificial intelligence. And for many in this room, the challenge is no longer understanding its potential, but knowing how to start. So, especially when there is a growing concern that players with the largest data sets and technology budgets will continue pulling ahead. Now, for so smaller and mid-sized institutions, from what you are seeing across your network, where are they starting? And what makes those entry points actually work?
Yeah. I think, of course, there's always a perception that the AIs will be dominated by institutions with big budget. They can spend more and do. But I believe that this might not necessarily be the full case. Because right now the AI models are actually, I would say, very open. There is a lot of choices, and actually what we see from UnionPay side is that the AIs have started to also evolve, like I think what Anup has shared. So the banks needs to build suitable API banking stack to connect to the AIs. And I think for this, what we see is from UnionPay side, we are more focused on the payments. So we see more towards the shift to also angelic agentic e-commerce. That means payment using e-commerce AI. So it means that, let's say, if you want to buy something, you can tell the AI what do you prefer, stuff like that. Whether can you get me this thing at this cost? So it's like when there's a discount under this cost, then you immediately buy ahead, because for certain merchants they might have flash sales where as a user yourself you can't be able to detect all the time. So for UnionPay we have also launched our this framework for agentic payment in April. We call it APOP. So this is the framework that UnionPay came out for this kind of payments to ensure the trust, the intent, and also the security of all this kind of AI payments. And I think for smaller players, they might not be able to spend so much on AI. But I think right now at least the foundation is there. That means that there is everyone is almost starting at the same start point. So even big or small, if you use it correctly, I believe that it will also bring a lot of growth within the organization or the banks.
So basically what you're saying is the entry point is there. It doesn't matter if it is a big organization or a small institution, it is there. But what we've seen is even institutions that get AI right, they don't always transform. Now, we have seen example of markets with access to similar technologies. We have the same case studies and same infrastructure, and yet some move forward far more quickly than others. Now, many would argue that the real differentiator is the organizational mindset, okay? Now, do you agree on that? And in your experience, what does that actually look like in practice, in your experience?
Yeah. I think I strongly agree that the mindset is often the real differentiator, because technology nowadays, with the communication, I mean, internet and everything, technology is similar. I would say the vendor may be also similar. Like just now you show, the core banking vendor, all these are this field. Yeah, they are the same. So, but and also maybe you will also study the same use case, because or you know that this bank is successful, I will try to study it. So everyone is actually the same. But I think the main thing is why is it different? The outcome is different. I think that's why I will agree that it's actually the mindset. So the mindset actually change. The mindset will actually bring this differentiator. I think normally what we observe is for those that move faster, they have actually three main characteristics, I would say. First is, of course, to rethink the customer journey. So existing journey has been ongoing for so long, but if you are willing to rethink the customer journey, making it more efficient, more fast, or just sharing reduce the risk, the operational cost, then I think this is the first step that needs to be done. I think the other one is also to also embrace the ecosystem partnership. So as I think part of the team of competition, banks and fintechs or the partnership ecosystem needs to be there. You cannot be still trying to build your own walls to actually prevent fintechs from coming in, and so as I think the previous two sessions has already shared that right now everyone would have more or less settled down on what are the roles and how can we cooperate. I think the thirdly is of course the determination, whether the change, like I think just now Anup has shared, API banking, whether we have the determination, the top management have the determination to leapfrog, to do something that is not hard, because I think you asked the question like, is it how is it? The definite answer is not easy. Yeah. So I think this is it needs a top management dedication to actually push it through. Yeah. So with all this this mindset, I think these mindsets are the important points that make the differentiator.
Okay, I'll take a pause here and I'll open the floor for any questions that you may have for Chong Wei. Any questions for Chong Wei here? Okay. I think then I'll ask my question.
Okay. Sure.
Okay, so in your career, you have seen organizations genuinely transformed, or others that have just modernized around the edges, just cosmetically. So what separates the two, and is there a moment looking back where the trajectory becomes actually clear?
Yeah, I think the thing is that maybe the trajectory is clear when you begin to ask different questions, different set of questions, like maybe like how do I protect my current business, into like how I can make my customer journey easier, faster. So actually this change of the questions will also bring transformation into this institution. And I think for what I've seen, I mean personally I've seen, I want to bring an example is that there's a bank, a mid-tier bank previously in Cambodia called ABA Bank. When there was in 2014, they were like their mid-tier, maybe the 11 bank out of the 39 or 39 banks in Cambodia. But within 7 years, in 2021, they have actually claimed the top spot.
Oh.
Yeah. Until now, they are still the top spot. So the change in the 7 years, actually what they have done is mainly to embrace the change on the customer experience. They built what I call the mobile banking app, ABA mobile banking app. They built self-service kiosks. They built this payment QR payment apps, and they also reduced their number of branches and stuff like that. So actually this this is actually how they propel themselves by asking, I need to have a more seamless experience for my customer. I don't need them to do this, fill up 1,000 forms and stuff like that. So everything went through. So I think they have actually claimed the top spot since 2021. Yeah.
So the example that you shared of Cambodia, so was there any changes from the actors in the ecosystem? For example, from the regulatory side, was there any changes which actually enabled to accelerate on the digital front?
I think the change is also partly due to a change of mindset and a change of new fresh blood. So it's like in 2014 they have injection, a new injection from this National Bank of Canada. So they actually brings in the new mindset into the whole management level that propel this change. Yeah.
Do we have time or? Oh, okay. So let me wrap up our discussion, our conversation today. Chong Wei, thank you. So based on our conversation, what strikes me most is that none of your answers actually pointed to technology alone. The recurring theme that I could just jot down across everything you shared is collaboration, trust, and willingness of the institution to create value rather than compete for every inch of the customer relationship. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And secondly, what you also highlighted was relevance is very important in the digital ecosystem. It is not determined by who owns the interface. It is actually determined by who continues to solve meaningful problems at the ground for merchants, for banks, and for businesses in ways that only they can, okay? And honestly, that might be the most important takeaway for a market like Nepal. So what is exactly where we are headed to next in our final panel session, and what not works globally, but what actually works here with this market at this moment, which our next final panel will be talking about. Now, Anup has been saying repeatedly that Nepal doesn't need to follow any country as such, so we have really important takeaways from our conversations today. So Chong Wei, thank you once again for your time and insights this afternoon. It was really a pleasure talking to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.